There are wounds that never bleed. There are murderers who never hold a knife. They hide right in your living room, sit at the dinner table with you every Thanksgiving, and sleep with you in your worst nightmares. The name of that murderer is the kid next door. Let's turn back the clock to a winter night in 2005 in a small working-class suburb outside of Chicago. Snow was falling heavily outside the window, blanketing the front lawns in white. In a cramped attic bedroom, Leo, a 10-year-old boy with large, sensitive eyes, was huddled under a yellowish lamp. In front of him was a math test. A bright red 95% sat proudly in the corner of the paper. An A. To any child, that would be a source of pride. But to Leo, that number 95 was a suspended sentence. The bedroom door opened. The heavy footsteps of Margaret, Leo's mother, echoed on the floorboards. She had just returned from a double 12-hour shift at the hospital. The smell of antiseptic and exhaustion clung to her. Leo held his breath. With trembling hands, he pushed the test paper toward his mother, hoping for a pat on the head, hoping for a warm smile to chase away the chill of the Chicago winter. Margaret picked up the paper. She squinted under the lamp. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds passed. The silence in the room thickened. What did Julian get? Her first question wasn't, "Did you do well?" It was about Julian. Julian, the cousin of the same age living in the wealthy neighborhood across town. Julian, the golden boy with the blonde hair and the industrial strength smile. Leo lowered his head, his voice a whisper. He got 100 and extra credit. Margaret's sigh echoed in the room, sounding like a balloon losing its air. She dropped the test paper onto the desk. It fluttered down and landed awkwardly on the cold wooden floor. Lost to him again? How many times have I told you, Leo? In this country, second place just means you're the first loser. I work until my back breaks so you can go to that good school, not for you to bring home a 95. Why can Julian do it, but you can't? Where is your head at? She turned and walked down to the kitchen, leaving Leo sitting there with the number 95, which had suddenly become distorted and ugly. In the surging resentment of a 10-year-old, Leo grabbed the test paper. He tore it. He shredded his pride into white confetti that fell listlessly to the floor like the soulless snowflakes outside. That was the first night Leo realized he wasn't living his own life. He was just a clumsy supporting actor in the movie of Julian's perfection. This invisible murderer isn't born naturally. It is fed by the deep insecurities of parents themselves. Leo wasn't an incompetent child. On the contrary, he had a special gift for art. He saw the world in colors, in shapes, in the stories of the graphic novels he secretly drew every night. But in his mother's eyes, art was useless. It was a one-way ticket to poverty. The only things of value were GPA scores, acceptance letters from Ivy League universities, and the ticket out of this working class. Time passed, and Leo grew up in Julian's giant shadow. The peak of this mental torture always took place at the annual Thanksgiving dinner. It wasn't a cozy family meal, it was a Roman Colosseum where mothers threw their children into the ring to fight with words. When Leo was 16, the whole extended family gathered around the golden roasted turkey. Aunt Carol, Julian's mother, took a sip of expensive wine and began her familiar performance. "My Julian is just so busy this year, you guys. He's captain of the swim team and was just elected president of the debate club. Just yesterday, Stanford sent a letter inviting him to their Young Leadership Summer Camp. I told him to rest, but he just loves learning so much." All eyes turned to Leo's mother. I saw her hand grip the wine glass so hard her knuckles turned white. She smiled, a smile so forced it was painful, and began to lie. "Oh, my Leo is focusing intensely too. He's studying for the SATs early. His teachers say he has huge potential for med school. Leo doesn't like those superficial activities. He prefers academic depth. Leo sat there, the turkey in his mouth, suddenly tasting as bitter as ash. He wanted to stand up and scream, "You're lying! I hate med school! I just won first place in the state book cover design contest. Why do you never mention that?" But he remained silent. He understood that in his mother's coordinate system, his first place in art wasn't worth Julian's clipped toenail. The name Julian began to haunt Leo not just at parties, but in his sleep. Julian became the yardstick for his existence. If Leo woke up at 6 a.m., his mother would say Julian had been up jogging since 5 a.m. If Leo got a 1500 on the SATs, she would say Julian got a 1580. Gradually, Leo began to believe he was a defective version, a failed draft of creation. He began to hate Julian, even though Julian had done nothing to him. And worse, he began to hate himself. The real tragedy struck during his senior year of high school. It was the year that decided fate, the year of college applications. Leo had hidden it from his mother, secretly preparing an art portfolio to apply to the Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, his dream school. He spent nights perfecting the most passionate portfolio of his life. It was the only world where Leo felt like a king, a hero himself. One afternoon, Leo came home from his part-time job to find his bedroom door wide open. His mother was standing in the middle of the room, holding the charcoal sketch portfolio he had hidden under his bed. Leo rushed in, his heart pounding. "Mom, don't! Give that back to me!" Margaret turned around. Her face wasn't angry, it was cold, filled with extreme disappointment, a weapon far more damaging than any physical blow. She looked at the drawings, then at Leo. "I work 12 hours a day, my feet swollen every night to nurture this. Will these grotesque drawings pay your rent? I just heard from Aunt Carol that Julian got an early acceptance letter to Yale. He's going to be a lawyer. And you? You plan to become a poor artist sketching portraits in the park?" Then she didn't tear it up. She did something crueler. She threw the sketchbook into the metal trash can in the corner of the room, and then coldly poured her half-drunk cup of black coffee into it. The dark liquid spread, soaking the pages, turning Leo's dreams into a pile of soggy, brown sludge. "I'm doing this to save you, Leo. Wake up! Starting tomorrow, I've signed you up for an intensive cram school. Forget this garbage." That was the moment Leo felt something shatter inside his chest. It wasn't the romantic sound of a breaking heart from a movie. It was the sound of self-esteem collapsing. From that day on, Leo didn't draw anymore. He became a ghost in his own home. He studied like a madman. He drank coffee instead of water. He swallowed caffeine pills to stay awake all night solving chemistry problems he despised. He didn't learn for knowledge. He learned out of fear. He learned to kill the artist inside him. The day the college results came finally arrived. The pressure in the small house was tight like a violin string. Leo had done it. He received an acceptance letter to the pre-med program at a prestigious university in Chicago. His mother cried tears of happiness. She called everyone to brag. She organized a celebration party and, of course, invited Aunt Carol's family. At the party, everyone raised a toast. Aunt Carol, though slightly jealous, had to admit Leo had done very well. Leo's mother beamed, a smile Leo had craved for 18 years. She hugged his shoulder, telling everyone, "I knew it! My Leo has always been my pride." But in the very moment he received that validation, Leo felt empty. He looked at his mother's smile and realized she wasn't smiling at him. She was smiling at his achievement. She loved that acceptance letter, not his true self. He, Leo, the boy who loved to draw and dream, had died in that coffee-soaked trash can that day. 3 months into college, Leo was sitting in a large lecture hall surrounded by hundreds of elite medical students. The professor was lecturing on human heart anatomy. Leo looked up at the screen, watching the heart beating. Suddenly his ears started ringing. His vision blurred. He couldn't breathe. It felt like an invisible hand was choking him. Leo collapsed on the floor right in the middle of the lecture hall. People screamed. An ambulance was called. He woke up in the university hospital, the smell of antiseptic rushing into his nose, the familiar smell on his mother's clothes from years ago. The doctor concluded he had acute physical exhaustion and severe anxiety disorder. His body had gone on strike. It refused to continue this perfect play. The hospital door opened. Leo closed his eyes, waiting for his mother's scolding or her disappointment that he was weak. But the person who walked in wasn't his mother.
It was Julian, the golden boy Julian, currently studying law at Yale, walked in looking like Leo had never seen him before. His hair was messy, his clothes disheveled, and he had deep, dark circles under his eyes. Julian pulled a chair up to Leo's bed, sat silently for a long time, and then buried his head in his hands. "You're so lucky, Leo," Julian said, his voice hoarse. "What are you talking about? I'm lying paralyzed in a bed, and you're at Yale." Julian looked up, and for the first time, Leo saw tears in his enemy's eyes. "I hate law, Leo. I hate it to my bones. Last week I stood on the roof of the dorm for 2 hours. I wanted to jump. I wanted to end it all." Leo was stunned. "My mom, she controls everything," Julian continued, his voice trembling. "I wanted to be a chef. Remember when we were kids and I used to make cookies? But my mom said being a chef is a servant's job. She wants a son who is a Supreme Court justice. I'm living her life, not mine. Seeing you collapse, I actually felt jealous. At least your body knew how to scream, 'Stop.' Me? I'm still walking toward the cliff without any brakes." In that moment, the hatred in Leo's heart vanished. He realized Julian wasn't the enemy. Julian was just another victim. Both were prisoners in their parents' prison of expectations. The kid next door wasn't real. It was just an illusion created by the vanity and fear of adults. The perfect Julian that Leo's mother always praised was actually a soul cracking day by day. And Leo, whom Aunt Carol envied at that party, was lying here with a shattered spirit. 2 young men sat there in the cold white hospital room amidst the silence of dead dreams. Leo looked out the window. The first snow of the season began to fall again. He remembered the 95% test paper, remembered the sketchbook soaked in coffee. He realized he couldn't go on living like this. He couldn't die a slow death to feed his mother's pride. The next day, Leo's mother arrived. She cried, worried about his health, and then immediately asked, "When can you go back to class? Missing too much work means you won't keep up with your peers." Leo looked straight into his mother's eyes. For the first time in 19 years, his gaze held no fear or pleading. "Mom," Leo said, his voice calm but steely, "I'm dropping out." His mother froze, as if she had been slapped. "What did you say? Are you crazy? Are you going to throw away this brilliant future? Are you going to shame me to death? That is your future, not mine. And I would rather be a poor artist who is alive than a rich doctor who is dead inside. I won't be the other people's kid anymore. I'm going to be Leo." Leo dropped out of med school. He worked as a waiter, a bartender, doing any job to earn money for art supplies. He started drawing again.
The first strokes were shaky and full of pain, but they were his. He drew faceless children carrying giant boulders on their backs. He drew Thanksgiving dinners where people ate masks instead of food. Years later, Leo became a renowned illustrator. His mother never fully accepted that choice. She still sighed when Aunt Carol bragged that Julian had graduated law school, though she didn't know Julian was in therapy for depression. But Leo didn't care anymore. He had learned to forgive his mother, for he understood she was also a victim of societal pressure, of poverty, and of her own generational trauma. But most importantly, he had forgiven himself. He had stopped racing against a ghost. He understood that the greatest tragedy of a human life isn't failing to be as successful as others, but losing yourself while trying to become someone else. And the kid next door, that invisible murderer, was finally banished from his life forever.
Hello again. It's Raphael. We just walked through the snow-covered streets of Leo's childhood. We sat in that cold hospital room, and if you are listening to this, I suspect you felt a tightness in your chest. Perhaps you saw your own reflection in Leo's trembling hands as he handed over that test paper. Or perhaps more painfully, you recognized yourself in Julian, the golden child who is drowning in silence. We often think of abuse as bruises, as shouting, as violence, but Leo's story exposes a much more insidious form of trauma, emotional enmeshment, and conditional love. Let's take a deep breath, step back from the story, and put on our clinical lens to understand exactly what happened in that house. Because to heal from the kid next door syndrome, you must first dissect the ghost. First, we must look at Margaret, Leo's mother. It is easy to paint her as the villain. It is easy to hate her for pouring coffee on that sketchbook. But in psychology, monsters are rarely born, they are made. Margaret is a classic example of narcissistic projection via progeny. Now, that sounds like a complicated term, but it's actually very simple. Margaret felt small. She felt invisible in her low-paying job, invisible in society, perhaps invisible in her own marriage or life choices. When a parent feels unfulfilled, they often look at their child not as a separate human being, but as a second chance. Margaret didn't look at Leo and see a boy. She saw a vessel. She saw a container into which she could pour all her unfulfilled dreams. When Leo failed to beat Julian, it wasn't just a child getting a B grade. It to Margaret felt like she was failing all over again. This is the tragedy of generational trauma. Margaret was likely compared to someone else when she was young. She learned that love is a currency. It is not a gift, it is a salary. You get paid love when you perform well. You get their silence or disappointment when you don't. She was simply passing this broken currency down to Leo. And what about the kid next door, Julian? We spend our whole lives envying the Julians of the world. But as we saw in that hospital room, the golden child is often in more danger than the scapegoat. Leo, the scapegoat, knew something was wrong. He felt the pain. Pain is a signal. It tells you to run. Julian, the golden child, was sedated by praise. He was locked in a golden cage. He didn't know he was dying inside until he was standing on that roof. So if you were the Leo of your family, strangely enough, you might be the lucky one, because the pain forced you to wake up. The most dangerous lesson Leo learned wasn't that he was bad at math. It was that I am only worthy of love when I am suffering. Did you notice? His mother only smiled when he got into pre-med, something he hated. He learned that to be loved, he had to kill parts of himself. This creates adults who are high-functioning anxiety sufferers. You might be successful today. You might have the job, the car, the house, but ask yourself, do you feel like you're tricking everyone?
Do you feel that if you stop working for just one day, the world will discover you are a fraud? That is the ghost of the kid next door. You are still running a race against a phantom, trying to earn a love that should have been free. So how do we stop? How do we pull the plug on this machine? Leo did it by dropping out, but you don't have to quit your job or move to another country to heal. Here is the psychological roadmap to reclaiming your identity. First, grieve the parent you never had. This is the hardest step. Leo had to accept that his mother would never understand him. Many of us spend our 20s, 30s, and 40s trying to explain ourselves to our parents, hoping that this time they will finally say, "I see you. I accept you." You must stop going to the hardware store asking for milk. Your parents may not have the capacity to give you the unconditional love you need. It's not that they don't want to, they simply don't have it in their inventory. You must grieve that loss. Cry for the little boy or girl inside you that wasn't held. Acknowledge that the ideal parent is dead or never existed. Once you stop hoping for their validation, they can no longer hurt you. Second, separate achievement from existence. In our story, Leo tore up his test paper because he thought he was the 95. He thought he was the paper. You are not your resume. You are not your bank account. You are not your relationship status. Try this exercise. Who are you when you are doing nothing? Who are you when you are sick, unproductive, and messy? If you hate that version of yourself, that's where the work begins. You must learn to love the useless you, because the useless you is the human being. The productive you is just the employee. Third, build the not me wall. When someone compares you to another person, whether it's your mom, your boss, or even your own internal voice, you need to build a mental wall. When Margaret said, "Julian is a lawyer," Leo finally learned to say, "That is Julian's life, not mine." This is called differentiation. It is the psychological act of drawing a boundary where you end and others begin. Next time you scroll through social media and see a friend buying a house or getting a promotion, and you feel that familiar sting of, "I am behind," stop. Visualize a wall. Say to yourself, "That is their timeline. I am in my timeline." The flowers in spring do not envy the leaves in autumn. They bloom when it is their time. And fourth, reparent your inner child. Leo saved himself by becoming his own father. Did you notice? He stood up and protected his future self. You must do the same. When you make a mistake, instead of hearing your mother's critical voice asking, "Why are you so stupid?" you must intervene with a new, kind voice. "It's okay. You're learning. You're safe." Talk to yourself the way you would talk to your own child. Be the parent to yourself that you never had. And if there are parents listening to this, if you have ever looked at your child and thought, "Why can't you be more like him?" please, I beg you, stop. Look at your child. Really look at them. Do not look for the doctor, the lawyer, or the trophy. Look for the soul. Is he kind? Is she creative? Does he have a laugh that makes the room brighter? Celebrate that. Because if you force them to wear a mask to make you happy, one day, like Julian, they might suffocate behind it. Or, like Leo, they will leave you to save themselves. Don't let your unlived life destroy their only life. My friends, the kid next door is a myth. Julian was miserable. The cousin you envy has a marriage that is falling apart. The coworker who got the promotion is on antidepressants. We compare our behind-the-scenes blooper reel with everyone else's highlight reel. It is a rigged game. You cannot win. The only victory is to walk off the field, just like Leo. He put down the heavy burden of expectation and picked up a paintbrush. It wasn't prestigious, it wasn't wealthy, but it was his. Your life is a blank canvas. It has been covered in the coffee stains of other people's expectations. but you can still draw on it. You can draw a life that is quiet, imperfect, weird, and messy, as long as it is the life you chose. Thank you for listening to this story today. Thank you for being brave enough to look at your own wounds. I'm Dr. Raphael, and remember, you are not a draft. You are the masterpiece. See you in the next episode.